The Galactic Council chamber was built to impress. Its ceiling shimmered with the reflections of 1,000 stars, and its walls pulsed faintly with the quiet rhythm of cosmic energy harvested from suns across the rim. The gathered species, diplomats, warriors and thinkers from every corner of known space, had assembled for what was supposed to be a routine conference about expanding interstellar trade routes. But the topic quickly changed when the humans arrived. They came as they always did, quietly, politely, and a little late. No grand entrance, no shimmering banners or metallic robes like the others wore. Just plain uniforms, calm expressions, and that strange air of patient observation that made the rest of the galaxy uneasy. The humans didn't take the front seats of the chamber. They never did. They moved with practiced precision to the back row, where the shadows of the council's glow barely touched their faces. It had been that way for decades. Every time humanity was invited to sit at the table of the galaxy's greatest, they chose the rear, watching while others debated, planned, and often argued over power and territory. The elders of the council took it as humility. The younger species thought it was shyness. But the veterans, those who had fought wars and watched worlds burn, suspected something deeper. Today, that suspicion was about to be tested. The presiding official of the council, a massive being of crystalline structure named Lorvak, had grown tired of humanity's quiet ways. He was from a species that valued strength and pride above all. To him, humanity's restraint looked like weakness. He turned toward the back of the chamber where the human delegation sat. "Representatives of Earth," he boomed, his voice resonating through the crystalline walls. "Once again you choose to sit behind the others. Do you find yourselves unworthy of standing among equals?" The chamber grew silent. 1,000 eyes, some round, some glowing, and others faceted, turned toward the humans. The lead representative stood slowly. He was tall, his expression unreadable, his tone calm. "We are comfortable here," he said simply. Lorvak laughed, a sharp metallic sound that made the air tremble. "Comfortable in the shadows? You humans confuse humility with fear. You send ships that are slow, soldiers that bleed, and yet you claim to belong among the stars." There were murmurs of agreement among several delegations. The humans didn't respond. Their leader merely folded his hands behind his back and looked at Lorvak with eyes that held no anger, only patience. That look unsettled the crystal giant more than any words could have. Lorvak pressed on. "Perhaps it is time the galaxy learns what humans truly are. You hide behind diplomacy, but I suspect you hide something else too. Is it fear, or something darker?" Before anyone could answer, alarms flared through the chamber. The air flickered and the shimmering holograms of the trade routes dissolved into static. A wave of cold light spread across the ceiling as the security network came alive. The council's defense screens displayed one message. "Warning. Hostile fleet entering system." Panic rippled through the chamber. Lorvak spun toward the display. The fleet was massive, ships of unknown design, angular and dark, moving with unnatural precision. The data flickered again. Classification. Unknown extragalactic origin. Estimated power output. Beyond measurable limits. The chamber erupted into chaos. The counselors shouted over one another, demanding protection, escape, plans. The greatest of the galaxy, the masters of war and diplomacy, suddenly looked fragile. But the humans did not move. Their leader simply tapped a device on his wrist. "Activate fallback protocol," he said calmly. From orbit, Earth's ship responded. It wasn't the largest in the Council's fleet. In fact, compared to the shining cruisers of the other races, it looked worn. An old design from a forgotten war. Its hull was dull gray, its engines plain, its markings faded. The galactic records called it the Dauntless, a relic humanity refused to retire. Lorvak scoffed when the ship appeared on the defense grid. "That rusted machine? You bring a museum piece to face a galactic threat?" The human replied without emotion. "She's not a museum piece. She's our reminder." Moments later, the alien fleet fired the first shot. A spear of light tore through space, hitting one of the Council's newest defense cruisers. The ship disintegrated instantly, its shields collapsing as if made of paper. The room gasped. The enemy ships didn't pause. They kept firing, cutting through the Council's proud armada like it was dust. The Dauntless moved forward. Lorvak's voice was sharp. "Human, order your ship to retreat. It will be destroyed in seconds." But the human leader shook his head. She was built for this. The old battleship accelerated, its ancient engines glowing with a fierce blue flame. The alien fleet detected its approach and unleashed a storm of energy blasts. Yet something strange happened. The Dauntless did not evade. It didn't even raise shields. It simply kept advancing. Then the ship's hull lit up with patterns no one in the chamber had ever seen before. Lines of molten gold traced across its surface like veins of light, spreading faster than logic could explain. The sensors of the Council's ships screamed with warnings. Power readings skyrocketed beyond theoretical limits. Lorvak whispered, "What is that?" The human finally stepped forward, his eyes locked on the display. "That's why we never sit up front." Before anyone could speak, the Dauntless unleashed its core. The pulse wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense, it was an awakening. The ancient ship, once believed to be a relic, revealed its true nature. It had been built around something, older than human civilization itself, something they had found deep beneath their own planet's crust. An artifact from an age when the stars were young. The golden lines blazed outward and space itself seemed to bend. The alien fleet froze mid-flight, their systems flickering out. The Dauntless moved through them like a storm, each enemy vessel, collapsing in silence as invisible waves tore through their hulls. The galactic chamber went still. Every delegate watched in disbelief as the impossible unfolded. The ship that was supposed to be outdated, slow, and weak was annihilating a fleet that defied comprehension. Within minutes, it was over. The enemy fleet vanished into drifting dust. The Dauntless powered down, its glow fading until it looked ordinary again. The Council chamber was silent. Even Lorvak's crystalline body seemed dimmer. He finally spoke, his tone uncertain. "What did we just witness?" The human looked at him, voice calm but heavy with meaning. "You witnessed why we stay at the back, because when the front falls, someone has to stand when all else breaks." The others said nothing. Later, when the chamber emptied and the smoke of panic had cleared, Lorvak approached the human delegation. His arrogance was gone, replaced by something like humility. "That ship," he asked quietly. "How long has it been alive?" The human paused before answering. "Longer than we've been ready to understand it. We found her buried beneath an ancient sea. She woke when we needed her the first time, and then went silent again. We don't command her. We just keep her company until the galaxy forgets how fragile peace is." Lorvak nodded slowly. For the first time, he understood why humans never sat up front. They weren't avoiding power. They were waiting for responsibility. In the days that followed, the story of the Dauntless spread across the galaxy. Some called it myth. Others feared it as proof that humanity possessed a power too great to comprehend. But those who had seen it with their own eyes knew better. They knew it wasn't about power. It was about resolve. Humans didn't seek the spotlight because they understood what it cost. They didn't lead every war because they knew how wars ended. They sat at the back, not out of weakness, but because they had seen too much and survived too long. As the galaxy rebuilt its fleets and rewrote its treaties, the humans quietly returned to their place at the back of the next council meeting. Lorvak, now changed by what he had seen, looked toward them. When the human leader caught his gaze, Lorvak gave a slow nod of respect. The human returned it with the faintest smile, and in that moment, every being in the chamber, no matter how proud, how ancient, or how powerful, understood the truth that had eluded them for centuries. Humans never sat up front because they didn't need to. When the stars grew dark and the universe trembled, humanity was always the last to rise, and the last to fall. Their silence wasn't submission. It was the quiet confidence of those who knew that when the galaxy cried out for help, the ones sitting in the back row would already be standing.